Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Alexandros Hadjigeorgiou, and I've just now here's Professor Manoliadis with me, who was supervising my MSc dissertation in a postgraduate program of the Hellenic Open University in Engineering Project Management, and a small part of this dissertation is the today topic of assessment of performance measurement frameworks that can support the implementation of lean construction. Let me say, beginning that since we have uploaded our A3 summary a little late, and if anyone does not have a tablet or a laptop with him, we have brought 4 or 5 printed copies, so you can, of the A3 of our summaries.
Okay, the idea is, how do we measure the success of the lean construction in terms of the idea is, the motivation is, how do we measure the success of lean construction projects through different measurable indices and procedures and methodologies that they already exist. For instance, the project management systems like the balance scorecard or others like that. And we have discovered that in terms of these measurement systems, there are a lot of indices in those that they apply to the lean construction methodologies. And we have gone through the literature, and we have picked from the literature the most important of those, using a huge amount of literature there. What can be used from the project management systems in order to assess the lean construction performance of these that we've been dealing with, in terms of their performance, success projects, dealing with not the enterprise, but for the project. That what I have seen before in one presentation, it said before, best for the project. I would say project success. The rest is going to be done with Alexander.
Yeah, thank you. You saw the outline of the presentation, 4 basic parts, and an introduction. The performance measurement systems in the last 2 decades are very well applied in the construction industry too. There is a very several decades ago dissatisfaction with the traditional one, dealing only with the financial indicators, and so many researchers and authors are proposing modern and contemporary systems like this, with process-oriented elliptic measures for the evaluation of performance. Now, the term lean construction was born, as we all know, in 1992 by Professor Koskela, and he summarized, among many others, 4 basic principles for the implementation of lean construction, which we were addressing in our study. And those 4 principles are the reduction of waste, the well-known, the core principle, the variability reduction, the operation simplification, and the benchmarking. So the aim of the can we go back? Sure. And another one. So the aim of the study, to stress the contribution of such systems for construction firms or projects in assisting these 4 basic principles mentioned above. And so to do so, we have conducted a short literature review over the last 20 years, and we present very briefly 7 or 8, the most important 7 or 8 papers in this topic with related studies, and draw some remarks and conclusions. Now, the theoretical background, I think that we can pass this very quickly because it's very well familiar to everyone here, I guess. 3 very important performance measurement frameworks: the IFQM Quality Management Excellence Model, the Balanced Scorecard, and the Key Performance Indicator. So, this is the well-known excellence model of the European Foundation for Quality Management. It has this well-known 9 criterion, the 5 enablers criteria in the left side and the 4 results criteria in the right side. And below the figure you can see how these criteria interconnect and work with each other. The second framework is Balanced Scorecard. These 4 perspectives of the scorecard, introduced by Kaplan and Norton in 1992, and of course the basic idea of this framework is that it consists a mixture of both lagging and leading indicators, and of course the fathers of the Balanced Scorecard themselves, in some later papers of them, propose that although they have introduced it as a performance measurement system, they actually promote it as a strategic management system. The third framework is the KPIs, the key performance indicators, the most famous and the best, the 2 major institutions developing and producing keys are in Europe the Construction Excellence in the UK, and in the USA, the Construction Industry Institute that develop and build such indicators for construction. So, the studies that we have presented and reviewed in our literature review. As for the methodology, it is among many researchers and authors well established that performance measurement has very important role in process control and lean construction. And the whole idea, the basic idea is that it provides process transparency and can help non-visible attributes to become visible. So, of course, some other authors and researchers argue that a critical factor for poor application of lean construction is the failure to use such process-oriented performance systems. So, our review process is a short literature review in the last 20 years. We have addressed only studies of performance measurement system in construction in peer-reviewed journal and not conference proceedings, that they have used one or more of the 3 contemporary frameworks presented before, and we have selected 8 characteristic studies that develop such systems that address one or more of the 4 lean construction principles. So, this is a quick outline of all these presented studies that you can see in more details in the paper, in the text of the paper. You can see some of the characteristics of those studies that, for example, some of them are using just KPIs, some of them are using a mixed framework with balanced scorecard and KPIs, and I have chosen 2 of them to present it more. For instance, these 2, Batham et al. In 2004 tried a combination of the UFQM excellence model as a framework to developed 3 different types of indicators: KPIs, KPOs, and perception measures. And you can see how they have those 3 different types of indicators work in their model. Another study of Chang Kim in 2011 got from a literature review of an initial, I think, Mr. Chairman, 1 or 2 minutes, different indicators to result to 18 final pieces. So the summary characteristic of the studies and some findings are presented in this paper. And as you can see, taking a closer look on this table, the KPI model is a common framework adopted in all studies, in all 8 studies, and benchmarking is the only one of the 4 principles that is addressed in every study. So we can conclude that basically these systems support lean construction through benchmarking. The next one is waste reduction. So some conclusions.
Big conclusions.
Yes. An outline, a number of papers were reviewed to substantiate that appropriate performance measurement can influence the implementation of lean construction. Some overall conclusions that a general trend during the last decade is that such system can prove very helpful in the implementation of lean construction. The use of such systems, the use of the 3 basic frameworks like the UFQM model, the balance scorecard, the KPIs can assist this 4 lean construction principle and especially benchmarking. And the framework, the basic framework used is the KPI one. So we can conclude that the indicators are, let's say, obligatory for developing such systems.
Okay, thank you. I gave you some credit for technical problems.
Okay.
And
Yes.
For
the future, maybe.
Some questions.
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, any questions about performance management systems?
Yeah.
With KPIs, is there any, I don't know, like a boundary or rule of thumb, or like how much is just enough and how many KPIs is too many?
Or too few.
Or too few, yeah.
Yes.
How do you figure that out?
Different papers and different authors propose different number of indicators. Some of these 8 studies, for instance, if I can go back. So, one of these 8 studies is this, in 2011. As you can see, these 2, Chang Kim, from a literature review, they selected 8 performance categories and 27 initial indicators. They've started with them. With a first preliminary survey of questionnaires and experts interviews, they cut down the categories to 6, and they limited down the 27 indicators to 20, excluding some of them. Maybe they thought of less importance, or the experts thought that they were less important. So the questionnaire, the statistical analysis of the questionnaire review. In the second round, with an in-depth interview with performance professionals in performance management and the top experts of this area, they have, as you can see, they examined the measurability and the representative of these indicators, because it's not such important to have 20 indicators if you cannot measure easily most of them. So they cut it down, the 20 indicators, to final 18. Most of these studies tend to conclude to a number between 15 to 20 indicators. None of these authors have used very few, for example, 5 or 6, and none of these authors have used, as a conclusion, 50 or 40. But there isn't, I think Professor Manoliadis may say a comment, there isn't a number established by the literature.
What we're interested in is how those performance indicators that are geographically different, different in Saudi Arabia, different, can be used for link construction. That's to say, waste reduction, all those principles of link construction. How can we take something that is applicable to all projects and for 20 years, and we can use that system to utilize it for link construction? That's the idea. There are so many different KPI frameworks in different countries, in different perspectives, in different projects, probably in the enterprises, in projects, in sustainability projects, in this project. How can we use these very applicable, very known systems to evaluate link construction? That's the idea.
There should be commonality at some point.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is
We
waste
can go
reduction.
on the break so that we have time for one more question.
Just one comment, just 1 second. The third study, 2007, as you can see, 12 categories and 16 P's. If you can see the third study, who et al., 2007, they proposed 16 final P's.
If I could make a comment, in Australia we've had a lot of experience with KRAs and KPIs on alliance projects. And some years ago I did an evaluation of the frameworks and what worked and what didn't work. It seemed to me that there are different levels. So what we have found is that 3 or 4 areas where you have KRAs. So you identify what your outcomes are. And then if there is a gain share type of arrangement, you'll have to define what is linked to gain share, pain share. So you'll have some KPIs there for that. And that's got to be quite focused on exactly what the client wants. And then the KPIs as you go forward will change as you go through the project. So, because what you're trying to do is achieve certain outcomes at a high level. To achieve those from a lean perspective, at a lower level you have to keep changing what your KPIs are, because your objective at an early stage might be to change the practice. And then a little later in the project, you now want to actually improve, not change the practice, you've done that, you want to improve the outcome of that practice. And then when you've achieved that, then a little later in the project, you say, well, we've solved that problem. Now the next problem is this. So that from a lean perspective, you're changing your KPIs to drive continuous improvement towards the higher level goals. So I think, to talk about 14, 16, 18 is fairly illusory. At a high level, you need 3 or 4 high level KRA areas that you want to achieve.
You mean categories.
And exactly, and under that, you define what you're going to measure for pain share, gain share, and then under that, you continuously are changing your KPIs on the way through the project to drive continuous improvement.
Yeah, but the idea is,
Very quick answer.
yeah,
please.
the
I
idea
think
is the assessment of those
photograph.
PMIs, not to build a model, but to assess the existing model.
Okay, thank you all the presenters and round of applause. Now it's time for the photograph.